Michelangelo Merisi de Caravaggio was born on September 29, 1571. While there isn't much known about his early childhood, we do know that by the time he was 6, the bubonic plague's arrival in Italy killed nearly every male member of his family, a trauma that would follow him for the rest of his life. He became the father of Italian Baroque painting and chiaroscuro, creating undaunted, realistic photos that appeal to the emotions of the viewer. His combination of dramatic lighting and realism elevated the still life portrait to a whole new level. He was known for being able to paint quickly, with a new piece in just 2 weeks. He created works such as Boy with a Basket of Fruit. As you can see, his early work featured mostly boys, instead of the common female muses at the time, which prompted many to question his sexuality. That, along with the fact that he was once arrested for having a ménage à trois with a young male prostitute. In 1597, he painted The Calling of St. Matthew in a 3-part series for the Contarelli Chapel in the church San Luigi dei Francesi. However, his realistic portrayals of the saints was a sharp departure from traditional depictions and created so much upheaval that he had to repaint St. Matthew and the Angel because his patrons were not pleased. Caravaggio was also a master sword fighter and incredibly violent. As Carl van Manger once put it, he would swagger about for a month or two with a sword at his side, from one tennis court to the next, ever ready to engage in a fight or an argument, with the result that it is most difficult to get along with him. He was so bad that he was put on trial 11 times and served his first sentence in 1603. By 1606, he upped the ante and straight up murdered a man on the streets of Rome. The location of the stab wound indicated that it may have been because of a dispute over a woman. As a result, the Pope gave an order that allowed anyone in the Papal States to kill him with impunity. He then fled Rome and went to Malta, Sicily, and Naples, you name it, fleeing what were essentially bounty hunters. All the while, he continued to paint, creating some of the most well-known pieces of his career. The painting, The Beheading of St. John the Baptist, was described by Jonathan Jones as one of the 10 greatest works of art of all time, claiming, "Death and human cruelty are laid bare by this masterpiece, as its scale and shadow daunt and possess the mind." One can only imagine what possessed Caravaggio's mind to create this.
So, you faced a lot of criticisms during your life. What do you have to say about Nicholas Poussin seeing your painting, The Death of a Virgin, and saying, "I won't look at it, it's disgusting. That man was born to destroy the art of painting. Such a vulgar painting can only be the work of a vulgar man. The ugliness of his paintings will lead him to hell."
Where is he? One time, I was eating dinner, and this waiter made fun of me, so I smashed a plate in his face.
Well, thank you for sharing that. What would you say some of your influences were?
Well, I took an apprenticeship under Simone Petrosano and studied Lombard and Venetian masters like Salvato, Titian, and Lotto extensively. Giuseppe Cesari, if you know who that is, he was also a pretty big one. I worked in his studio painting flowers, but obviously I'm a naturalist, and he's definitely an idealist.
Caravaggio died on July 16, 1610. Because of his damaged reputation, his works were often misattributed or ignored, which could be due to the fact that he only signed one of his works. Despite this, Caravaggio went on to influence many other artists such as Rembrandt, Diego Velázquez, and Theodore Géricault. In a more modern sense, photographer Lachapelle discovered Caravaggio had painted the courtesans and the street people, the hookers and hustlers of his day, which inspired him to create his series entitled Jesus is My Homebody, featuring people from the streets in modern clothing. However, in an effort to give you the most well-rounded look at his personality, we'll conclude by informing you that it was possible that Caravaggio's erratic behavior can be attributed to lead poisoning.